Hey, Tara Durant, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, good. Today's Monday, the 13th of September, 2021. Early voting is starting very soon.
Yes,
Um, I think it's Friday, right? Friday the
it is this
17th.
Friday. Yes, we're encouraging everyone to go out and vote early starting this Friday.
So
Um,
how do they do that? Do they, it's not a mail and they can actually go to a precinct and
yes,
cast their vote?
exactly. It's early in-person voting. So um, it, we've had a lot of candidates that have talked about that 10-10-10, which is to go and take a list and write down your 10 friends, family members, and and then ask them to reach out to 10 people and so on. So basically the theory is that you get up and you call them on election day this Friday and say, have you voted, and follow up with them. If they haven't done it, follow up with them the next day. And then, as Congressman Whitman said, if by the third day, just say, stop what you're doing, I'll come and get you, and go take them to the polls, and you go vote in person.
That's awesome. Today I gotta not say that's awesome. My wife told me I say that's awesome too much, so I
Yeah.
won't say that superlative too much. It's funny. I was listening to Dan Bongino today, and he said the same thing: 10, 10, 10. So I don't know if you listen to him or not, but he's got a pretty good um, spin on what's going on in the country today, and the only way to change some of the course of where we're going is to get out and vote. And he does that same 10, 10, 10. I imagine it's the same 10 people, 10 phone calls, 10 emails, and then on voting day, that's already three tens. But if there's a fourth 10 to get out and drive 10 people to the voting booths. So
Yes, I think it's the formula for success right there.
yeah, I think so. Hey, I'm Matt Daniel. I'm the chairman of the Spirit of VMI Political Action Committee. We're essentially a group of alumni, and we bring in some non-alumni too. And we have people from other schools, WNL, UVA, 501c3s who sort of help advise and guide us in what things make sense and what don't make sense to do as far as fundraising goes, and then political support and what's important and what's not important. But we've essentially formed to stand watch to ensure that that legislation and legislators are not in place to do harm to VMI, to let VMI
Right.
be VMI, and to sort of take care of that. So we're officially not actually associated with the school at all.
Okay.
And we are not part of the alumni agencies in this regard. All of us are members of the Alumni Association just by being alumni, but we're not associated or represent them. We're a Virginia 527 Political Action Committee, not a 501c3 or anything like that. I just want to make sure that that's really clear for anybody who might be listening and thinks that we are VMI employees of some way, shape, or form, but we're not.
Very
We're
good.
doing what we're doing right now is what we call the Election 2021 House of Delegates Candidate Interview Series. So we've done a bunch. We've interviewed Gina Ciarcia from the 2nd up near you, Jason Ballard from the 12th down near Roanoke, JD Maddox in Alexandria in the 45th, Mike Cherry, 66 south of Richmond, Mary Margaret Castleberg, the 73rd in Henrico County, Mark Early also in Henrico County and Richmond in the 68th, Tim Anderson, Virginia Beach, the 83rd, Glenn Davis, also Virginia Beach, the 84th. And we have on the docket to do, hopefully before early voting starts, Chris Holmes in Richmond, and Ronnie Campbell in the 72nd, Ronnie Campbell in Rockbridge County in this part of the world, in southwestern part of Virginia in the 24th. And a couple of other ones, Otto Waxman, we're trying to get him on the calendar. Have not done that as yet, but so we're very active in trying to get these interviews going and to make them so that they are something that you can use and something that we can use in order to provide what we would call a battle management aid. You being a Marine wife, you may appreciate that, but
I do appreciate it.
as a decision aid. But today, for anybody who's watching who doesn't know the lady I'm talking to, it's Tara Durant from Virginia's House of Delegates 28th District as a candidate for delegate. in running in this in this election cycle that starts on the 17th of September and goes through the 2nd of November of this year. And that's well, you describe that district for me, if you would, Tara.
So it starts up in the northern part of Stafford County, a little part of Garrisonville, and it goes down through, kind of follows along I-95 corridor on the eastern portion and into a portion of the city of Fredericksburg, right about till Mary Washington University.
Okay. So anybody who's listening who may fit that geographic location, look for Tara Durant signs and listen to how she answers some of these questions. So I got a series of about 7 questions. Some of them are nested questions with multiple part questions. So let's go start. So public safety, there's a bunch of real critical issues that I think that anyone running today would agree are important issues in the way things are running today. But the first one would be public safety. And my understanding about Stafford County and Fredericksburg, that the public safety officers are doing a pretty good job there, and they're doing maybe even crime is down there, but I'm not sure. I'll let you describe what is the status of public safety there, and then we can get into some follow-on questions.
Sure. Well, I mean, there's no question public safety is on everyone's mind. In the Commonwealth, it's at a 20-year high. However, here in Stafford County, we are blessed to have a phenomenal sheriff's department. And we've got a very strong law enforcement as well in the city of Fredericksburg. So Sheriff Decatur, he has done a wonderful job. He's just a great man, and he's done a very good job of keeping our streets safe. Sheriff Decatur and his department, they are very well respected here in Stafford County. And so, as their delegate, it is my utmost desire that I want to be a partner with our law enforcement in our community here in Stafford and in Fredericksburg. As their delegate in Richmond, I want to be an advocate for them to make their jobs easier, to ensure that they have the necessary funding and protections to continually to keep us all safe.
Is your district, are you having to deal with threats of defunding from maybe the incumbent or other politicians?
So, well, my opponent, he likes to engage in sometimes the occasional photo op with the law enforcement. His record in the General Assembly paints a drastically different picture. He has been endorsed and supports organizations that advocate for defunding the police. And when given the opportunity, he has failed to advocate for programs that would provide law enforcement with critical equipment they need, such as their body cameras. In fact, he was the only one in the entire General Assembly that voted no on a bill that would have provided that necessary equipment for them. So this is just it's a failure of leadership on his part. The 28th district needs a legislator who understands the importance of public safety and equipping our officers and ensuring that they get what they need to do their job and protect us and the public.
If voters want to look deeper into that bill that you're talking about, how do they find that bill?
It's Senate Bill, I believe it's Senate Bill 1119. Yes.
Senate Bill 1119. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Public safety is hugely important.
It is.
Today, everywhere, and certainly in Virginia, and I guess you alluded to that Virginia across the state, that crime is up 20% in this calendar year. So that's something to think about. Okay, so economy and right to work. In 2020, the General Assembly had a delegate and a senator propose some legislation that would end Virginia's right to work clause. Can you tell me what that's all about?
So it start with right to work.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm a strong advocate for right to work. I believe that's something that I've been championing in my campaign from the outset. So I believe it was in 2020, the General Assembly delegate Carter and Delegates Saslaw, they introduced bills that would have effectively ended Virginia's provision to the right to work and forced non-union employees to join. And so that's something that I would absolutely not support at all. I believe that we need to provide our no barriers for our businesses to be able to do their job.
Right. And we're trying to bring in businesses into Virginia, and forcing employees to join unions when they don't want to join unions. I mean, from my perspective, and in talking with a lot of candidates, that unions obviously have their place, but forced membership into union is basically paying to get a job, and so that may not be the attractive measure that you need to keep Virginia as a stalwart state to bring new and small businesses into.
Exactly.
So that would take us then to small businesses, because I think that they would be directly affected by that. What do you think that you can do to address things that would hurt small businesses in Stafford County and Fredericksburg?
Well, I think that, right to work makes Virginia a more attractive place to work. We need to attract the best and the brightest to live here and work and want to open up businesses, want to open up small business. So in order to fight and ensure that we have a strong economy and good family school systems, we need to have a business-friendly climate. And so we cannot have any of those kind of barriers to help our small business be able to thrive and succeed.
Yeah, and so the latest announcement from the federal government about the requiring mandates for businesses to have of 100 or more is going to be a statewide issue if someone does it. So you would not only represent your district and your jurisdiction, but also across the state.
Exactly.
So what do you think about all that as far as the 100 people rule for vaccine mandates and that kind of stuff?
Again, that's another barrier and encroaching upon our small businesses and our business climate to be able to be successful. And that is presenting a real challenge for our business community that are already struggling to staff. And we have industries that are critical industries like healthcare and public safety that are struggling. And now with these mandates, and we have employees that are making that decision, that difficult decision that's not right for them, that's only creating more of a employee shortage, and it's encroaching upon our businesses to be able to be successful.
Okay. So the country today in Virginia really is maybe at the pinnacle as a split state. But the country has become severely and dangerously divided.
Yeah.
Your leadership in the House of Delegates hopefully can provide some salve to that problem. What would you have in your arsenal to be able to accomplish that or to help with that?
Well, I think that it's important to note that I'm not a politician, never run for office. And so since I began this campaign, I've come from the perspective of someone who's lived in my district for almost 20 years. I am a mother. I've got 3 kids that have gone through schools here in this area. I'm a teacher. I'm a Marine Corps wife. And so I come at the perspective of knowing what's best for the people in my district. And as someone with those credentials, I want to go and fight for the people that I know and love right here. That's what leaders do. They do what's right for the districts, regardless of the party. And my opponent, Josh Cole, he's voted completely on party lines. This last time, nearly 90% of the time. So my goal in this campaign from day one is to understand the concerns of the voters right here in the 28th district. I've been going out on the doors and I knock on, and when I speak to them, I want to listen and understand where they're coming from. And so that listening to that, regardless of party, I will do my best to understand those concerns and to act on them when I'm elected.
Right. And to do the things I would imagine that don't necessarily, and you said this before, not along party lines necessarily, but to do the
Mhm,
things that are best for the people in your district and the people in the state of Virginia too, I would imagine.
correct.
Right. Good. Okay. Um, so, in these hot button topics, education is one of those, and we're
Mhm,
seeing sort of a decline in levels of education in
mhm.
decaying standards among public schools in Virginia. Can you tell me how that's happening in Stafford County schools and/or in Fredericksburg schools?
Well, as I said, I've lived here for 20 years. So in terms of right here in Stafford County, the people that I know, my colleagues that are educators, I know that they are fighting to do what's best for their students. I know they are very dedicated to what they do. They're very dedicated to their jobs, and they know and love these kids. And so as a legislator, I want to find ways to help them do their job and to make their jobs easier and to support them. They need to have higher pay. Their salaries right now are not competitive nationally. And so, that is one way that I would seek to support our local community and help our kids right here in the district be able to thrive.
Are you finding that politics are moving into the classrooms in your schools?
CRT is critical race theory. That is certainly a topic that's been a hot topic here in Virginia, without a question. And I absolutely support prohibiting the use of critical race theory in our curriculum and for professional development for our teachers. We need to focus on our kids and how the shutdown and now rolling into this third academic year has affected them. And I am seeing this as a teacher and as a parent every day. Every day I see a new example of how this is impacting our kids in ways that I think even surprise us as educators and their parents. Sometimes some of the stories are heartbreaking. I saw one of my colleagues today, and she was working with a student who had been struggling, who was home last year. And it's absolutely heartbreaking to see how difficult it's been for this child to come back and transition. And, we are doing our best to love on these children and bring them back into the fold, but the transition is very difficult in more ways than I think that any of us realized. It's the whole body of this child. It's the emotional component. It's the mental. It's academically. It's socially. And so they need this continuity in their education. That's what we need to focus on, is to bring them back so that they're the healthiest that they can be, so they can focus and do their job, which is to learn and to grow.
So what's the status of the schools? Are you guys fully open now, or is it a hybrid model? How's that working?
It really has been kind of individualized. For the most part, the schools are open. We have seen schools in the district that have closed individually. Some middle school closed in the city. And so we are seeing that. But for most part, the schools are open right now.
Yeah, it's a tough nut to crack with a lot of different
Mhm.
dynamics that are having effects like that. Is there
Mhm.
anything that you think that you can do? I mean, I imagine it would be a priority for you. I'm guessing, but priority for
Yes.
you after hearing your answer, to keep schools open as much as possible, in-person learning as much as
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel very strongly about this, as much as possible that we can safely do it. The kids need to be in school. We are dependent on our children to be in school. That is what we need for our kids by and large. The parents, if they need to have that option, that's something that the Commonwealth, I know, has already, had pre-pandemic. But how our kids, need to depend on that continuity in their education is what we need to be fighting for, that they are able to go to school 5 days a week, full time, and be able to focus on the core subjects so that we can start to close these gaps in their learning. We see it in the SOA scores, and should be our top priority for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's the DNA. It's where we're going. It's where, you and I are going to be, not around, and they'll have to carry on.
Mhm.
Building the future of this country, I think it's necessary to spend time and attention on the DNA of where we're going. And that's important to you. That's heartening to hear. So on the 17th, the early voting starts and it goes through the 2nd. What do you think about voter identification?
I think we need to make sure that everyone has identification that's available, but I do not believe that requiring voting identification is discriminatory at all.
Okay. Fredericksburg, Northern Virginia in general, has a lot of veterans there. I work up there. I'm a veteran. I have lots of friends who work and live in Northern Virginia. Some in my brother lives in Fredericksburg, as a matter of fact, also a veteran. How can Virginia better retain and maintain veterans in Virginia and in your district?
Well, those who serve our nation, and that's, personal for me because it includes both my husband and my son is a Navy ROTC student. And like you, there's so many of our colleagues here in the Commonwealth. I think it's nearly 800,000 veterans who call Virginia home. And so it is our responsibility to ensure that they have the highest quality care and a strong community support. Connecting veterans to benefits, expanding access to vocational training and mental health programs will be a priority of mine in Richmond. Protecting our veterans, it's an important issue to me, not only because of the personal connection with my family, but also those that we have known in these last 20 years in our district, and all of them have dedicated their lives to serving our country. So many are right here in our own community. If given the opportunity to serve as their delegate, I will make sure that Virginia is a national leader in these veteran services. It's absolutely what they deserve.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I'm sure my brother, hopefully he listens to this and he'll thank you for that.
I hope he does too.
So I'll go to the VMI stuff. I got a cluster of VMI questions. It's really just one big question, but there's a number of different things to talk about here. VMI's been under fire from the governor and from the newspaper that's just north of you guys. I try not to say the name of the newspaper whenever I can.
That's fine.
Or if I can help it, but sort of undervaluing the value of VMI as an institution without really talking about or thinking about the value of the VMI degree and the unfairness at which it's been accused. So some stats here that the net present value of a VMI degree is second only to, and this is across the state of Virginia, only to Washington Lee University in net present value, which basically means the value of the and the earning value of the diploma that you get from the institution. And it's second to WNL, and WNL is second in the nation only to Stanford. That
Phenomenal.
The number of minorities and underrepresented population increases every year to the point now where it's 35% of the VMI cadet population is represented either as a minority or as in the underrepresented population category. Either they're from a county or city in the state that doesn't have very many college graduates, or they're on some sort of Pell Grant assistance, or they are older students who have come after the age of 25. Regardless, 35%, and the number continues to climb every year. There are a number of different studies from and reports from renowned sources like U.S. News and World Report, Forbes, Money Magazine, and those things that state that VMI is number 3 in the nation from Money Magazine as best colleges in the best small colleges in the nation. They're number 3. top public liberal arts colleges, number 4 in the nation, U.S. News World Report, Wall Street Journal. It's in it's number 37 of the top 100 public universities in the United States. Best value schools, VMI is most likely to land you an enjoyable career. Number 2, only again behind Stanford University. So all those things being said, the stuff that you might have seen or read from the Washington Post, first of all, a lot of that data was out of context and incorrect. And you know, if given the opportunity and we have the time to do it some later state, when you're elected and are able to fight for VMI, we can arm you with some of that data that would fly in the face of the report that was written by the organization out of Indianapolis in support of or at the on contract with the State Council of Higher Education of Virginia. So all that being said, I'll read to you real quickly an excerpt on VMI's mission statement. VMI believes that the measure of a college lies in the quality and performance of its graduates and their contributions to society. Advocates of the American democracy and free enterprise system, they're ready as citizen soldiers to defend their country in time of national peril. VMI shall provide to qualified young men and women undergraduate education of the highest quality, embracing engineering science and conducted and facilitated by the unique VMI system of military discipline. So, you know, one of the things that we have seen that has been under fire is the curriculum at VMI, and we're seeing hedging toward curriculum changes, and we're standing watch to try to defeat or stop curriculum changes that would challenge the free enterprise system, i.e. a Marxist bent, and or would encourage a foundation that's based in racism. So the critical race theory you referenced earlier, and diversity, equity, and inclusion versus equality. So all that being said, do you support VMI's mission as you understand it and as you have read it?
Absolutely, I support your mission statement. It's about working to ensure young adults can be a great addition to society. That's my favorite part of that, is that they're a great addition to society. And Virginia's system of higher education, it's our greatest economic development asset. Absolutely. And VMI should absolutely be commended for everything that they've accomplished.
Yeah, they seem to be getting better and better, you know, over time, taking a little bit of a hiccup and hopefully getting back on our course and going the right direction. So all that being said, again, I think that you would agree then that VMI is probably worthy of and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but the appropriations from state government. And if they're challenged, would you lead to try to ensure that that they are recipients in order to do their mission from the state government?
110%, I would support it. Absolutely. And I applaud all VMI as the institution for all the efforts to continuously educate the next generation of our leaders, of our future leaders. And I would absolutely support it 110%.
And there's a couple of a couple of foundational things too, as far as VMI, things that kind of set them apart. And I'll just pick a couple of them, but there are, you know, the class system, the regimental system, and all those different things. But there's two sort of foundational components to VMI, characteristics to VMI that really set them apart. One is the honor system. You know, cadet shall not lie, cheat, steal, or tolerate those who do. And it's a single sanction, you know, honor system that's run by the cadet corps. It's not run by the institution itself. But there has been suggestion and recommendation that there should be some fundamental changes to that. And some changes have taken place in the last 6 to 9 months due to external pressure. The other institution is that one that was referred to as the unique system of VMI's military discipline, which has its initial roots in the rat line, where every cadet, regardless of when they come, what academic year they enter as, they have to go through a year's worth of being a fourth classman, or before that as a rat. It serves as the crucible really for VMI, and then a bonding mechanism for them as they go through their cadetship. And then long after that, it becomes the glue that keeps a class together and the core together after that. So given those two institutions right there, do you think that or do you see anything that needs to change that you can think of?
No, I think VMI has done a phenomenal job, and with providing that high quality education, especially with your unique set form of military discipline. And again, I think they've done a phenomenal job.
Okay, well, thank you for that commentary. And the last question I'd ask you is as you are elected and you take the oath of office, what are the first things that you're going to do as a delegate for the 28th?
Well, I think being a teacher and being again, a mother of three, I'll be a champion on education and the gap and I see and with our students. As I said previously, this is the third academic year that our kids have been impacted. And so I know personally more K through 8 education, how we address when we see a child come in that has some gaps in their learning in core subjects. And so I've got ideas that I've been working on as we go through this campaign that I think that would remediate some of those issues. But I also believe that really we should be having a lot more conversations in the Commonwealth and really as a country to be really discussing what we're going to do about the loss that we've experienced these last 3 years, or going into, I guess you said, this third year. And I think that the ideas are going to be difficult, frankly. I think they're going to be a challenge, and I think they should be on the table. But this is first and foremost my priority is education. Okay.
All right. So you're going to focus on education, and as I've oversaid a couple of times, the DNA of where we're going as a state and as a nation. Thank you for that. Do you have any oh by the ways or any saved rounds?
Well, I think also when it comes to our economy, I think that supporting our small businesses and helping revitalize with pro-growth policies will be a top priority. That's where we need to be. I've said this from the very beginning. I want Virginia to be a state where we attract the best and the brightest to come live and work and raise a family. And so, when we prioritize education, we prioritize our small businesses, and we have pro business policies that encourage growth. That's where we reap those rewards. And so, and also finally being a champion for public safety. That's very important to me. I believe that they need to have, and I would work to ensure that they have the resource they need, and really be a champion for them, that beyond even the resources, that they understand. When I have had conversations with those in law enforcement, we've always had them at a point on a pedestal where they are heroes, and that's where they belong. One of the first I teach as an elementary teacher was on community leaders. And these little boys and girls have our first responders, our law enforcement, our military, they have them as heroes, a hero status, and that is where we need to keep them. And I would fight to ensure that they have the dignity and the respect of the profession is maintained, and they know that they're valued and appreciated.
Okay, I think I didn't do you a service there. I had asked you for 3 things, and I cut you off at one, so I apologize for that. So
no,
what
that's
you
okay.
said, so what you said, and I'm glad you pressed forward. What you said was education, a champion for the economy and small business, and pro-growth effects toward small business growth in your district and in the state, and then and also a champion for public safety. Yes. And all those things sort of intertwine.
I see it that way. I do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the effort that you're taking. You're a teacher, an educator, a mother, and a wife of a Marine. And I know that you had gone through some trying times in the summer, last summer, where you got, and I think that's probably what launched your campaign, that somebody's got to do something. So it's always refreshing to see, non-politicians, basically taking a stand to change things the way that they're going.
Thank you.
I really appreciate what you're doing. So I'll close, but I'll ask you, we've had a couple of different ways to say this. So our little tagline with the spirit of VMI is good. And we say that because the paper in Washington and Governor Northam, class of 81 at VMI, would have you believe just the opposite. So VMI is good is the very baseline, basic thing that we say, and it's very simplistic, but people would argue that. I've heard people then correct me and say, VMI is great. Maybe you guys should change your, of course it's good. It's VMI is great. And I was like, well, not everybody thinks VMI is even good, but okay, VMI is great. And then Tim Anderson from Virginia Beach, the running for the 83rd, said, what I think you ought to say is thank God for VMI, because all it's done for the state and the nation. So if you can just pick one of those things and say it, then I would appreciate it.
May God bless VMI.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, I said awesome again.
That's okay. But I remember taking communications classes in college, and they would say, record yourself and see what you're overusing. And I forget what, I had one word too that I overdid all the time. So we're all guilty.
Yeah, I've been trying really hard.
Mine was basically, and I don't think you'll ever hear me say basically anymore.
Right. And I've had to nip the word like out of my vocabulary too.
Yeah.
So
my 13-year-old is trying to do that. She catches herself all the time. It's a tough habit to crack, but yeah, we all have one.
Well, it's really good to see you. I appreciate your time. And
thank you. I appreciate yours.
Oh yeah. Okay. And maybe we'll see you at a baseball game again soon.
Yeah, that was really fun. Yeah. And I was probably most proud of the support and the endorsement of the spirit of VMI. I'm incredibly impressed with everything that you all have done to push this forward and your mission. So, thank you.
Well, good luck in the campaign and look forward to some positive results.
Yeah, outstanding. Okay, take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.